We are very pleased to have a special guest with us here for Getting on Track, Randy Pobst. Randy, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure, David.
Yeah, you know, I have to tell you, Randy is a multiple winner of the Daytona 24 Hours race, a past Speed World Challenge Series champion with Audi, past Porsche pro driver, and currently leading in the points in the Speed World Challenge Touring Division, driving the Mazda 6. There were 2 or 3 questions I wanted to ask you, Randy, that I think kind of are really handy for street drivers bringing street cars to a track first time. Now, this may be a little bit of a challenge. As fast as you are, I'm going to ask you to talk to the layman, not about racing, but just kind of picking up the pace and driving at that 7/10 pace on a track. And starting out, what dynamics would kick in that would be unique about driving a front-wheel drive car on a track?
David, I grew up in front-wheel drive cars, and one thing I've learned actually for any car is that what we do on the racetrack relates very closely to driving on the street. Now, in a front drive car, we've got to remember all the power is going to the front tires. What that means is you've got to wait until you've got the car turned before you begin to get serious about accelerating. Because when you go for the gas, you're done turning. Front drive cars begin to straighten out on their own, so it better be the right time.
Now, let's complicate things and add 2 more wheels of drive. How about an all-wheel drive system and the dynamics there?
It's actually the easiest of all the different drive chain configurations. Really? You're never going to have one end or the other of the car break away suddenly due to power. On the other hand, all-wheel drive, especially in street-type cars, usually tends to cause understeer. And you're dealing with similar rule to the front-wheel drives. You've got to really be sure you've got the car turned more than halfway through a corner before you begin to get serious about accelerating.
Okay, now, and you use the term understeer. From my understanding, that's when you turn the wheel and nothing happens. The car's going straight, right?
Understeer is when you hit the wall with the front of the car. In other words, it's not turning as much as you want it to. Yeah. And understeer is the issue that you'll find in a front drive car and in many all-wheel drive cars when you're under power. Okay. So if you find you're driving the car and it won't turn enough, probably the problem's down there in your right foot. You've gotten the gas pedal too soon.
Complicate things even more. We'll talk about rear engine. Translate that, Porsche 911.
I love Porsche 911s, and I've driven them almost exclusively for years. And the interesting thing about driving one is most of the weight's in the back. It's almost like a front-wheel drive car backwards. And what that means is that entering a corner especially, you have a lot of momentum in the back of the car. You've got to treat the car with a lot of respect. Another thing to watch out for in a 911 is getting the power too early, once again. Because when you get on the power, weight transfers back, the front tires get a little light, and they're not going to steer as well when they're light. If that happens and you lift off the gas, they come down, and you've got a problem. So in a 911, it's very important to be very smooth with your throttle application and to be a little bit gentle on corner entry because there's so much momentum in the back of the car.